Thanks to a lucky geologic twist of fate, Ada is home to two of the oldest, largest, and best preserved specimens of petrified wood in the world. Both examples are much older than the dinosaur age, proving that this area is among the oldest above-water territories in the continental United States.
Pontotoc County is Pennsylvanian in age, meaning that when the sea finally subsided and the ground was uplifted and this became hard soil, rock, it was 325 million years ago, and it hasn't had a sea on it since that time. We have been hard, dry ground ever since. The dinosaurs may have lived here 100 million years after this tree. But remember, we're hard ground above sea level.
Because the Ada area was already dry ground, the dinosaurs that lived and died here were not fossilized. Their bodies decomposed and disappeared. But more than 100 million years earlier, long before dinosaurs existed, Ada was underwater.
Ada, Oklahoma, and all of Pontotoc County used to be an ocean. All of southern Oklahoma did. Up into Kansas and Nebraska. This was all a low-lying ocean. It probably wasn't very deep, but it was an ocean, and it has receded and it has advanced many times. Currently, it's where you see it today. But then we've just been here a blink of an eye in geologic time.
Primarily because of water cover, some of the plant life that lived and died here more than 300 million years ago has been fossilized, including the two incredible specimens of ancient wood available for viewing in Ada today. The first can be found in the trees on the southeast side of Wintersmith Park. It is known as the Callixylon tree and is one of the largest known specimens in the entire world.
And we describe this as in situ, meaning that this log is where we think it has been for largely the last 325 million years. It has not been moved. And it has been unearthed by erosional processes here. The topsoil has been washed away from it and discovered. Now, Callixylon is identified by its cell structure. I'm told by the people that studied this back in the 30s from the University of Oklahoma that neither end is here anymore. It's not for us to study, but they think this was about 80 feet long, and supposedly there's a slightly longer specimen in England. Obviously, this is the trunk, and you do realize that if something's going to fossilize, it has to have hard pieces. Cell structure, animals have to have bones. It's not the flesh of anything that fossilizes. Leaves probably decomposed in the swamp in which this tree was buried, and when it fell, it probably shattered. Where are the limbs? Out there somewhere. This park out here contains hundreds of thousands of fragments of petrified wood. This one is famous because it's big and long and in situ and in one piece.
Because Ada was underwater when this Callixylon specimen died and fell, it had time to fossilize thoroughly, leaving behind an amazingly intact petrified tree.
Petrified wood occurs worldwide. A tree grows, a tree dies, it falls, and it has to be preserved in a certain way. If it just falls out here like that branch that has fallen out of that oak tree, that branch is going to rot. Animals will trample it underfoot. Pretty soon it's going to pulverize and powder, and it's going to become part of the soil. This tree had to fall in a swamp. It had to be buried largely in anaerobic conditions, that is without oxygen. And slowly, minerals replaced the cell structure of the tree, and the minerals largely silica. Now this tree is about 75 million years younger than the Callixylon tree that's on the campus of East Central University. That one is Devonian in age, and the Devonian period happened before the Pennsylvanian. The Callixylon was a kind of a pseudo tree, a precursor to a real tree. Now remember that Callixylon that's on East Central's campus is not from Pontotoc County. That was unearthed in Clarita, in Cole County, at a hog farm in the 1930s. East Central just happens to be the benefactor of that fossil.
Dr. John Fitz, the successful geologist for whom nearby Fitztown, Oklahoma is named, discovered the massive Callixylon specimen. Before that, only small fragments had been found anywhere in the world. Ada's Callixylon tree remains the largest known specimen.
I don't think another one exists like it. Now again, Callixylon can be found in the scattering countryside around here, especially if you go to parts of Pontotoc County that is not Pennsylvanian, but is older, approaching the Mississippian and even the Devonian where it was found. For instance, Kerr Laboratory, south of the town about 5 miles, is not on Pennsylvanian strata. That's on Mississippian strata. So it is older.
Dr. Fitz quickly shared his discovery with two experts, Dr. Churchill Thomas, a geology professor at East Central State College, and Dr. David White, a paleobotanist from the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. Dr. White immediately recognized the significance of the find and started his campaign to move it to the nation's capital. He died not long after, and in 1935, Dr. Fitz decided to donate the Callixylon to East Central, not far from where it lived close to 400 million years earlier.
It almost ended up in the Smithsonian in the 30s when it was discovered in this hog lot, and it was through the efforts of some people here in Pontotoc County to preserve it and donate it to the university that it is ours. It's been there for a long time.
Both the Daylon and the Callixylon are astonishing examples of ancient plant life in the Ada area, but there may be more out there waiting to be discovered.
It stands to reason. If I can find one log, why can't I find others? Was this the only tree that fell down in a swamp and got petrified? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I think there are probably others. Do we need to go down? Do we need to go out? Do we need to go over the hill into the ravine where Mother Nature has done some erosional tear down for us? I don't know.
Perched on ancient dry ground where tectonic activity has generated millions of years of uplift and subsidence, Ada is in an excellent place to find petrified plant life, evidenced by two of the largest and most significant such discoveries the world has ever seen.
We are blessed with where we are geologically, in that, as I say, between the Ozark Plateau and the Arbuckle Uplift, and we have the right topography and the right age of geologic formations, that this all comes together.